Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Hacktoberfest. This is our 8th year of Hacktoberfest, and we're really, really excited that all of you are taking the time out to participate, to know more about Hacktoberfest, and participate and give back to the open source community.
You understand English? I think they will come at around 11:30, 12. Come after some time.
All right, just a quick request to everybody. If you have the option to mute yourself, please mute yourself. I will go ahead and get started. We have lots of people in the room. So, all right, here's a quick welcome. I know I did do a quick shout out to everybody joining in from various countries. Thank you for making the time and joining us. We're very, very excited for yet another edition of Hacktoberfest. And thank you, as always, for joining in. This is your team from DigitalOcean here. My name is Mohan. I lead the go-to-market team in the Asia-Pacific region. I'm also joined by my amazing colleagues, Saurabh Gupta. He's a solutions engineer in the APAC region, and Cynthia, who is a community lead in the APAC region as well. Saurabh and Cynthia, hi, and feel free to say hello to everyone who's joined us here.
Hey all, super excited to have you all here. Thank you for joining. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Awesome. So Cynthia and Saurabh are going to be available on chat. If you have any questions, if you want to continue engaging with us, please drop in your questions or comments on the chat section, and they'll continue to take a look at that. With that, here's a quick look at the agenda that we have here today. Many of you might already have been aware of Hacktoberfest. Some of you have already participated in previous editions. But for those of you who might not be aware, we'll do a quick overview and on the history of Hacktoberfest. We'll then go on to sign up for Hacktoberfest. We'll try to show how to create your first pull request. We've also have an amazing set of speakers who are open source maintainers for Hacktoberfest 2021. So we'll bring them in and give them a chance to tell you a little more about the projects that they're hosting for Hacktoberfest this year. And after some time, we'll all just hang out and answer questions, ensure you have all the resources so you can participate in Hacktoberfest 2021 successfully. And if you're all up for it, we also have some fun games planned for it, right? The games are important. So as you listen to my next couple of slides, do ensure you're paying attention because they will come handy. That information will come handy as you play some of our games. With that, let's get started. So what is Hacktoberfest? Hacktoberfest is a month-long celebration of open source software, which is organized by DigitalOcean. We've been running this for the past 8 years, and this year, we are extremely delighted to partner with Intel, Aphrodite, and DeepSource. So what exactly happens during Hacktoberfest? So in the month of October, we invite open source software enthusiasts, developers, even beginners from the developer community to come and contribute to open source. And you can contribute to open source in multiple ways. You can prepare and share your project for collaboration. I'll speak a little more about how you can do that in the upcoming slides. You can contribute to the betterment of a project via pull requests. Some of you might be aware of pull requests, but we'll also speak about what pull requests are. You can organize your own event. You can mentor others. And this time you can also donate directly to other open source projects, right? So all of this happens during Hacktoberfest, which is our month-long celebration of open source. With that, let's take a quick look at a video on the importance of open source.
What I love about open source software is that it allows more people to shape the software that's shaping our world.
We really wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have community if it wasn't for our open source.
You know, if you look around the industry, you'll see so much of what we do is powered by open source software, even if you don't know it.
Open source is at the heart of pretty much most technologies that people are using today.
It's so important because it's also a way to share ideas.
So if you want software that really serves a lot of different types of needs, that serves different types of communities, you need more people building that software, and open source allows for that.
All right, quick check. Cynthia, are you still able to hear me?
Absolutely, Moon.
Okay, great. I just switched up my headphones. All right, so that was a quick message from some of our colleagues at DigitalOcean about the importance of open source. And with that, we have a very special message for all of you from our CEO, Yancey Sproul.
Moon, you might have to unmute. Unable to hear Nancy's video. Moon, you may have to unmute. No, you're on mute.
Cynthia, were you saying something?
Yeah, we weren't able to hear Nancy's audio. I think it's because of the headphones. If you can just remove that for the video alone.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to Hacktoberfest. At DigitalOcean, we believe the community is bigger than just us, which is why we celebrate the open source community throughout the month of October. We started Hacktoberfest in 2013, and that first year, we had nearly 700 participants. And over the years, Hacktoberfest has grown to a community of over 150,000 participants in 135 countries who participate by sharing their projects, making pull requests, attending events, donating, and showing their support of open source. We welcome everyone of all backgrounds and levels of technical experience, especially those who are new to open source. Thank you to everyone participating in Hacktoberfest this year, especially the maintainers of open source projects. It's because of you that Hacktoberfest has been a success in bringing so many people into the open source software community over the many years. We can't wait to see what this year's contributors do. And happy hacking.
Great. So that was our CEO, Yancey Sproul, giving a quick welcome message and a word of encouragement for all of you who are set to participate in Hacktoberfest. I see lots of messages on chat. We had Patrick from Joomla. Thank you for joining us from Australia. Folks from Malaysia. We had Eugene from Malaysia who's joining us. Our friends from Apprentice, Aditya, thank you for taking the time and joining us. Many of you are also sharing about what open source means to you and what you're excited about. So thank you for all this excitement, and we're looking forward to yet another great edition of Hacktoberfest. With that welcome message from our CEO, we'll talk about what's happening today. So today you'll meet some of the maintainers. For some of you who might be familiar, maintainers are people who are owning projects on GitHub or GitLab and welcoming developers and open source enthusiasts to contribute to their projects. So you will meet some of the maintainers who are participating in Hacktoberfest 2021. They'll talk to you about the projects that they are hosting on for this year's edition. You can contribute to open source. On this call, you can understand how you can create your first pull request, how you can sign up for Hacktoberfest, all of that. So we'll give you all of that information and more resources so that through the rest of the month, you are equipped to participate and contribute to open source. And also we have my colleagues who are here to help, but also the open source community is such an amazing community. It's filled with volunteers who are ready to help out each other. And even as part of this event, we had people from the community reaching out to us to ask how they can help. So we have them in the audience and they're available in case you need any help. Later on today, we will also create breakout rooms so that all of you can ask questions, meet one another, talk to each other about the projects that you are hosting as part of Hacktoberfest and see how you can help each other. All right, now let's get into the history of Hacktoberfest, right? For some of you, who might not be familiar, Hacktoberfest has a history of close to 7 years, and this is our 8th year. Let's take a quick look at what all has come before us. So this is a picture that encapsulates everything that has happened over the years, right? All the way from 2015, 2016, we've had different t-shirts every year. And these t-shirts, some of you might be owning them. Send us a chat message if you have previously participated and own one of these t-shirts. We'd be really excited to know, right? That's great. And so a little bit about Hacktoberfest, right? In 2014 is when we started Hacktoberfest as a month-long celebration of open source. For the first year, the requirement was that you are required to make 50 or more commits on any public GitHub repo in the month of October and receive a free limited edition DO Hacktoberfest t-shirt, right? And some of the results that we saw in the first year was we had 500 plus completions, 50,000 pull requests, and more than close to 700 people participated and signed up for Hacktoberfest. In 2015, based on the enthusiasm that we saw from the previous year, we had Hacktoberfest was back and we saw more people joining us that year. We had close to 14,000 signups. And the thing we changed in 2015 was that we changed the minimum contribution requirement from 50 commits to 4 pull requests, right? And pull requests are on GitHub. Any sort of like change or feature addition or even documentation that you can make to an existing repo, those are called pull requests. So we brought down the minimum requirement to 4 pull requests, which was earlier 50 commits in the first year, right? And we sent t-shirts to people wherever they are in the world. In 2016, again, Hacktoberfest was back. This year, we created the label called Hacktoberfest so that maintainers could choose to participate in Hacktoberfest and use the label Hacktoberfest, right? We also created a very cool meetup event kit so that people around the world could organize their own meetups. DigitalOcean events are not necessarily run by DigitalOcean employees. We invite anybody from the community to contribute to set up your own events and bring in people together. A quick reminder for folks to mute yourself in case you haven't already done so, right? So that was 2016. Some of you might remember this t-shirt, right? And in 2016, we had close to 30,000 signups and again, 93,000 pull requests that that we saw that year. Right, and these are pictures that people from around the world send us of the events that they have participated in, the events that they have organized to bring in developers together. Right, in 2017, again, a couple of things changed. We introduced the hashtag Hacktoberfest, and again, I think as the numbers speak, year on year, the participation in Hacktoberfest grew. We had about 75,000 people sign up and participate in Hacktoberfest. We had more than 240,000 pull requests that we saw that year. So there's also a very cool t-shirt, and some of you might remember this royal blue t-shirt that that was making the rounds. And for our 5 years of Hacktoberfest, again, it was a brand new t-shirt as every year. And outside of that, we saw close to 240 events around the globe, an updated meetup kit that we set up for the world. And as you can imagine, as the participation in Hacktoberfest grew year on year, sending these t-shirts became a challenge, right? I think we were getting more logistically efficient to send out t-shirts a lot more sooner. And in 2018, we saw 46,000 signups in terms of developers signing up to participate, and also 100,000 plus pull requests that year. In 2019, we, again, I think updated meetup kit, more events around the world, and 130,000 people signed up and close to 500,000 pull requests that we saw that year, right? So, and also this was the year that we partnered with Dev for Hacktoberfest. Last year, as you all know, was a pretty significant year. It changed how things were being done historically. And last year, for the first time, it became a completely virtual sort of Hacktoberfest. Most of our events were online. Community organizers translated into online meetups. And for the first time, we also introduced pick trees, not teas. So participants had the option to choose to plant a tree in the DigitalOcean forest instead of opting to choose a t-shirt for themselves, right? And that was also done so that we can consciously contribute and offset the carbon footprint by planting more trees. And we saw about 169,000 signups and close to 600K plus pull requests last year, right? So as you can see, Hacktoberfest has grown, and at the right top, you will see all the top countries from where we saw participation. Even today, I think we have participation from many, many countries on this call. So thank you for your excitement and enthusiasm. I'll take a quick look at the chat. All right. Yeah. Folks have ideas to make a repo to automate t-shirts, sending t-shirts. Yeah, absolutely. Gagan says Hacktoberfest really started like a hacker club with a participation from just about 500 people. It was close to 700 people. Thank you. It's really grown, and it's because of a lot of people like you who selflessly contribute to the betterment of open source and improving the quality of open source, right? And last year, another thing that we focused on a lot more is ensuring we contribute quality PRs, right? Again, we want Hacktoberfest to be also about quality rather than just quantity. So we also want to ensure maintainers are getting the right kind of support they want from the community. So please, as you participate in this year's edition, please keep in mind not to contribute spam PRs, avoid spam PRs, make meaningful contributions, and ensure you put in those 4 pull requests and get yourself a t-shirt, right? While the minimum requirement is just 4 PRs, there's nothing stopping you from going above and beyond and contributing to other open source projects of your interest. All right. So again, I think very quickly, how does this work? It's open for everyone and anyone in the global community. It's really a global movement. And Hacktoberfest, if you really see, is the world's biggest hackathon, right? A month-long hackathon with the kind of participation that we've seen. It's hundreds of thousands of people who contribute for the betterment of open source. Maintainers, we've also ensured that maintainers have a say in who's contributing to open source. I'll talk about how maintainers can ensure they're gatekeeping the quality of contributions to their GitHub repos. Again, like I said, quality pull requests submitted on GitHub and GitLab. For some of you, this might be a little surprising. All these years, we've primarily hosted Hacktoberfest on GitHub. This year, we're also introducing support for GitLab projects. Again, I think developers, some of them build on GitHub, some of them build on GitLab. So we want to ensure that we are kind of recognizing all your efforts for open source, be it GitHub or GitLab, right? There are also nuances. Some of you might have questions on out of the 4 pull requests, can I contribute 2 on GitHub and 2 on GitLab? That's possible. All of those count towards your pull request. There are lot more details in the FAQ section. And again, our team is available here if you have specific questions through this event, right? What's same as last year? All the rules and requirements from last year remain, right? You need to complete 4 pull requests for your contributions to be counted, to be able to either choose a t-shirt or have an option to pick a tree to plant in the DigitalOcean forest. Events will be held virtually. We want to ensure all of you are safe. So please participate from the safety of your homes. There are lots of tools and channels we can organize meetups, live stream, office hours to help each other meet virtually, right? And we can still make this happen. You can also opt out from receiving a t-shirt and stickers and donate a tree instead. I already spoke about that. And maintainer-friendly opt-in repos. So maintainers can opt in for their project to participate in Hacktoberfest by way of choosing the Hacktoberfest label. So anything that's not marked with a Hacktoberfest label is not considered as a project that's participating in this year's Hacktoberfest edition. So please, if you're a maintainer, ensure and want to participate, use the Hacktoberfest label. You can also ensure there is spam prevention by ensuring that you're gatekeeping. I'll talk about that in just a minute, right? What's new or different this year? Maintainers who meet our participation criteria will also receive a swag pack. So in addition to contributors, we are also giving maintainers for 4 actions that they can take. And what are actions? I'll talk about in a little bit, either allowing a contribution to be added or denying. All of those count towards your actions. So if you contribute 4 PR actions, those are also attributed towards your actions, and as maintainers you're also eligible to receive swag. Again, I think, like I mentioned, PRs can be submitted through both GitLab and GitHub, and this year the new thing is that you can also directly donate money to open source projects. We understand open source runs because of contributions of many people who volunteer their time, their effort, their knowledge to make open source better. And this year, we also want to ensure they're feeling supported monetarily so people can contribute directly to projects of their choice. I'll talk about that in just a little bit as we go along. Right. And before moving on, I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat. That's correct. Yeah, I'll talk about what DigitalOcean Forest is. That's great, I think. Cool. Yeah, in the Hacktoberfest 8th edition, what are we doing differently? We have new partners. We have Aphrodite and DeepSource, and also Intel, who was our partner last year, come back and support Hacktoberfest. We want to welcome our partners Aphrodite and DeepSource. We do have some of the speakers today from Aphrodite and DeepSource, so welcome to you. And we'd love to hear about the project that you are hosting at Hacktoberfest. GitLab support, like I mentioned, there's a lot more focus on maintainers. We know that you've already put in a lot of work to build your project. We want to ensure Hacktoberfest contributes from a quality perspective towards your project, rather than just pull requests that you're having to deal with spam, right? So by no means do we want to ensure allow that to happen, and we are putting in measures to ensure you're getting only quality pull requests, and also you have the control to see what gets added or merged with your project, right? And like I said, you can donate to open source projects directly. For contributors, so again, listen carefully because all of this could be helpful for you as you participate in Hacktoberfest, but also as you participate in the quiz later on, right? These are the rules for contributors. You need to complete 4 pull requests across GitHub or GitLab, and these PRs must either have the Hacktoberfest accepted label, or the repository itself, the repo itself should have the label Hacktoberfest, right? For your PR to be counted, it has to either be merged or approved by the maintainer, or it should have the Hacktoberfest accepted label, right? So these are the requirements for your PRs to be counted to make the number 4, so that you can get a t-shirt or can choose to plant a tree in the DigitalOcean forest. So these are the rules for contributors. If you have questions, please let us know and we'll try to respond to them. These are the rules for maintainers. So if you are a maintainer hosting a project and participating in Hacktoberfest, you need to take 4 actions on PRs to complete across GitHub or GitLab. Actions must be in a repo with the Hacktoberfest topic. And also some of the actions that you can take are adding the Hacktoberfest accepted label to a PR, leaving an approving review on a PR, so we know that it's still under review, and merging a PR, which is accepting it and merging it on your GitHub repo, right? And yeah, and adding a label containing spam or invalid. So you also have a choice this time to label any PR as spam or invalid. So that also counts towards your actions that you can take as a maintainer in this year's Hacktoberfest. So some of you might have the question, like, why is DigitalOcean organizing Hacktoberfest, right? Because we believe people create awesome stuff, right? And as a company, that started out supporting developers and contributing and building products for developers. We know the power of the awesome community that we have. Open source provides a level playing field for all of us. It's a great learning opportunity for some of us who are new to learning these very cool technologies. So Hacktoberfest really provides that learning opportunity. It also welcomes new community members, both the developer community, the open source community members who wholeheartedly participate and contribute to each other's projects and helps grow real world experience. We've had instances where people have got internships and jobs because of Hacktoberfest, and that's really heartening for us and what drives us to organize Hacktoberfest year on year. It introduces a lot of people to free and open source software. DigitalOcean as a company, we are very pro open source. We use a lot of open source technologies internally for our own tech stack, but also we have a marketplace where we host a lot of open source projects. As proponents of open source, we really like the idea that this initiative from our end kind of contributes to more and more people getting introduced to free and open source software, which is really the future, right? And again, making contribution is not just about code. You can write documentation. All of those are possible, right? So it's not just, you don't have to be a developer or a coder to participate in Hacktoberfest. It really creates job opportunities, as we've seen in the past. And hopefully in the years to come, you can go on to become a maintainer. So today you might be a contributor participating or contributing towards others' projects, but in the future, who knows, you could become a maintainer yourself, and you could be a maintainer and a contributor, and you can host your own projects. You could be a maintainer and you can work on all your side projects that you didn't have time to work on because you were really busy with your day job, right? So all of those are possibilities with Hacktoberfest. And with that, we want to unveil this year's t-shirt. Hopefully some of you are excited, and all of you are looking forward to owning one of these t-shirts in the months to come as you participate and complete your pull requests. All right. I understand we might have some beginners on the call as well. So we put together a quick overview or a tutorial on how to get started and how to create your first pull request. So listen carefully. This is my colleague who's going to take you through the process of creating your first pull request.
Hacktoberfest is a month-long celebration of open source software run by DigitalOcean. Hacktoberfest is open to everyone in our global community. To participate, you'll need to submit 4 quality pull requests to public GitHub repositories. When you do, you'll earn some swag, including your very own Hacktoberfest 2020 t-shirt. You can sign up anytime between October 1st and October 31st, and we encourage you to connect with other developers and Hacktoberfest enthusiasts for virtual events and information sessions starting in September. In this quick video, we'll introduce you to Git and GitHub, the version control system that we'll be using to track your progress and repository hosting service that shares projects to collaborate on. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be ready to submit your first pull request and will be well on your way to participating in Hacktoberfest. Before we begin with Git and GitHub, let's talk about version control. When developers work on a project together, oftentimes they'll need to work on the same code base. While they're working, each developer needs to know about what changes the other dev made, so as not to duplicate work or write code over what has already been done. A version control system serves as a saving program for the code, where it assigns a version to a project and tracks changes made over time to each file in the project. In this way, developers can work together on a project by checking in with the latest version to see the changes made before working on their portion of the project's code. Git, a version control system used to manage developer projects of all sizes, was created in 2005 by Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, to help developers contribute code and share code revisions in a way that was fast, efficient, and inexpensive. Git creates code repositories to help developers edit, share, and publish code for all. GitHub is a cloud-based repository hosting service that allows developers to take code that they've written on their local machines and share it with the world. GitHub provides a way to share the version track projects on your local computer publicly through repositories or central file locations. And depending on the project's availability, it can either be a private or a public repository. Other developers can continue the project to edit the code, provide insight, and more. To get started with GitHub, you can create an account at github.com. We have links on the Hacktoberfest resources page that details exactly how to get started with GitHub. Check it out after this video. All right, let's get started cloning and editing our first repo. First, let's navigate to the repo that we'd like to clone. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use our Haiku repo. If you're following along with me, we've provided the link in the transcript for you to clone this repo as well. So I found a repo that looks interesting to work on that I can contribute meaningful content to. Remember, each of the pull requests you submit for Hacktoberfest should contribute to an existing repo in a way that helps the project to thrive. Take some time to pick one that resonates with you before starting. All right, before I clone this repo, that is, take a copy of the code here on GitHub onto my local machine, I want to take a copy of the whole repo into my own GitHub account. To do this, I'll make a fork of the repo. It's like I'm taking a bite of it, a copy that I can use to edit that doesn't affect the main or source code base. I'll navigate to click the fork button. Then watch as GitHub takes this repo and adds it as a copy to my account. As you see, now my name appears as the creator of this repo, which is a fork of the main Haiku repo. Next, I'll need to navigate over to my command line interface. I'm using Terminal on Mac, but there's a number of command line interfaces that are available for your OS. Use the one that works best for you. Git also offers a graphical interface that allows you to edit repos with visual commands. A link to download and learn more about that interface is available as a resource. In the terminal, I'm going to enter Git Clone. This command will clone or copy the copy that I just created from the Haiku repo down to my local machine. This will enable me to make changes to the code base locally or on my own machine to upload to the cloud remotely. Awesome. So we have the Haiku repo down on our local machine, and now we're ready to make a change. Using the command line interface, I'm going to navigate to the folder of our clone repo, Haiku, by CD. I'm using Visual Studio Code as my text editor and IDE of choice. There's a number of editors and IDEs or integrated development environments out there that allow you to write code in a number of languages and format it using best practices, snippets, and more. While Visual Studio Code is just one IDE, I'd suggest checking out a few and picking the one that works best for your coding environment. Resources on picking an IDE can be found on our Hacktoberfest resource page. Now, in a situation where I'm in an unfamiliar code base, I take my time to read and understand everything that's going on and find parts of the code that I might make more efficient or suggest different solutions for. It's worth it to fully understand the code base and read any associated documentation provided before making changes. Now that we've made a change to the Haiku repo, we'll need to track and save that change. The first step in tracking your change is to add it to the version you're working on. To do that, we'll execute the command git add. Writing the command in this way allows you to add all changes made to the repo across files. If you need to only submit changes to an individual file, use git add in the name of file. After we add, we'll get no confirmation. To see your changes, you can execute the command Git Status. This allows you to check on the status of your track changes. We'll see that your file has been added, but not committed as a change. Git provides this step in the event that you need to amend a change before officially tracking it as new or edited code. Next, let's commit our change. We're confident that it's right and would like to submit this change for consideration of those who maintain the project. I'll execute the command Git Commit and add a message with /m so that other developers who are collaborating on this project will know what my changes are. In this way, everyone can be informed of changes that are made. This message is tracked along with the commit ID in my username so other developers know who added this change. After committing, I'll need to push my changes from my local machine to the remote repository on GitHub. To do this, I'll execute the command Git Push. Here, we can designate an origin for the push. In this instance, we want it to go straight to the main repo that I forked from the source Haiku repo. So far, we've identified a repo that we'd like to edit. We took a copy of the repo onto our GitHub account and local machine using fork and clone. We then made a change and submitted our change with git add, then solidified our change by running git commit, which committed the change, and git push, which pushed our change from the local machine to the remote repository on GitHub. If we look on GitHub now, we'll see that the change we made is reflected in the files in our copy of the repo. Exciting. We're now ready to let the maintainers of the project know that we have a change to the repo that we're confident about and ready to submit. To do this, we'll click the pull request button here to the right. After the pull request button is clicked, a new page will open with a form that explains the changes we made and shows if the changes made will in any way conflict with the existing content. We'll add in an appropriate title that details the change, and in the description, add an explanation of what changes were made and why. What you add here can vary depending on the project. Take a look at the project's collaboration guidelines to make sure your pull request is formatted correctly. After adding in that information, we'll scan the PR page to make sure that our committed change does not conflict. If everything checks out, we'll get a green submit pull request button at the bottom that escalates our request to make a change to the source Haiku poem code base that will be live for anyone viewing that main branch. Be patient. It may take maintainers some time to review your request. Amendments and comments can be added on the pull request page, and new commits to the same affected files will appear in the request history here. Congratulations, we've successfully submitted our first pull request. You did it. In this tutorial, you learned about Git and GitHub and successfully identified. Welcome to Hacktoberfest. Hacktoberfest is a month-long.
All right. Sounds good. So that was a quick overview about how you can create your own pull requests. Hopefully that was useful. And like I mentioned, you can find the same video on the Hacktoberfest website, and you can check it out at your own leisure to understand how you can contribute to Hacktoberfest and create your own pull requests. With that, I also want to maybe take a quick minute to walk you through our website so you're all aware where to find the different resources. Just give me a minute. Yeah, hopefully you're able to see my screen. So this is the hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com website. Once you go here, you'll find a whole lot of resources. You can also see all the events that are happening. There are lots of events that community organizers are putting together so that people can come and participate. So you can find all the events. You can yourself become an event organizer. You can find the event organizer kit here and go and create your own event. You can give back to the community, and here's how you can donate directly to open source projects. Here's a listing of all the projects. So all the projects that have the label Hacktoberfest are listed here. We want to ensure there are direct ways to contribute outside of contributing through pull requests as well. So these are projects that are accepting donations. Again, we understand that contributing to open source comes with a lot of hard work, a lot of free work, and out of the goodwill of a lot of people contributing their time and effort. and we want to ensure they're also compensated and recognized monetarily. So that's why we've kind of opened up this channel to be able to give back directly to the open source projects. Some of you might have questions despite watching that video. I know it could be a lot to kind of process. So the FAQ section will be your friend as you kind of try to understand all the things about Hacktoberfest. I know some of you in chat had various questions. How do you get stickers? How do you sign up? How do you track your progress? How do you ensure your pull request has been counted? What is considered a valid pull request? All of those questions are answered in detail in the FAQ section. So please refer to that. Please ensure you're going through all of those details. And also, we have a Discord channel there where, again, our team members are available throughout the month. If you have questions, if you want to chat with somebody, if you want additional help, we are here to help, right? Let's go to the resources section. Under the resources section, you'll also see the values of Hacktoberfest, right? It's really for everybody, anyone and everyone who's enthusiastic about open source and wants to contribute is welcome. Again, quantity is fun. We saw all those great numbers that we've seen for Hacktoberfest over the years, but we are also really prioritizing quality. We want to ensure Hacktoberfest as an initiative leads to better quality open source. So ensure you're contributing quality PRs to other maintainers' projects. And also, I think what we believe is short-term action, but also long-term impact, right? By everything that we're doing with open source. This is where you can find the video that I just played some time back about how to create your first pull request. That's under the resources section. And again, if you're a maintainer, you have a lot more detailed information under the resources section. Go to maintainers, quality standards. How can you participate? If you're a beginner and you're starting out, and this is your first edition of Hacktoberfest, that's a great place to go check out all the resources. If you're an event organizer, and if you're a company who wants to participate in Hacktoberfest, right? Throughout the years, we've had lots of small companies, medium-sized businesses, and also enterprises participate in Hacktoberfest. So if you're a company and want to organize your own event, you can go and check out the companies section here and ensure you're participating in Hacktoberfest. Also, we want to reduce spam. I want to reiterate that. And again, these are the rules that you need to follow. Please ensure you're kind of keeping up the quality and how even bad repos are going to be excluded from this year's edition, right? So that's a quick look at the Hacktoberfest website. And with that, before we move on, I wanted to ensure we all have a moment to kind of remember all of us coming together for this edition of Hacktoberfest and this APAC kickoff event. And if you're all okay with it, we'll probably take a quick picture so that we can keep it for memory's sake, right? I'm just going to bring on, see if I can change up my. Right, I have everybody. If some of you, whoever is willing to turn on their cameras, we'll take a quick picture, a screenshot, so that we can remember all of us coming together virtually. Thank you for being enthusiastic and participating. And if some of you are want to have a screenshot for yourself, feel free to take one. And in case you don't want to be photographed, please feel free to turn off your video cameras, and we want to ensure we respect your privacy as well, right? With that, let's click away. Everyone smile. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yes, nice, Mikhail. Mikhail is giving the victory sign. Awesome. With that, we will continue to move on. We brought in some amazing contributors and maintainers who are participating in Hacktoberfest this year. We want to give them a chance to speak about the project and also give you resources where you can start contributing to their projects. I'm going to bring them up one by one very quickly. I'm going to introduce you to all of them. Please mute yourself. Thank you. All right. Here are some of our speakers as part of today's edition. And our first speaker will be Jay. Jay is from DeepSource, and they are one of our partners and sponsors for this year's edition. With that, Jay, I'm going to give you control. You can share your screen and walk us through the project and your participation and how DeepSource is participating in this year's Hacktoberfest.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for that, Mohan. And yeah, hey guys, Jay here. I'm one of the co-founders of DeepSource, and yeah, and we are partnering with Hacktoberfest this time. And I'll walk you through how we are actually trying to do that. So in just DeepSource, our mission is to help developers ship good code. So we are a code quality platform where you integrate with platforms like GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. And whenever you or anyone creates a pull request, DeepSource runs analysis on that code and tells you how to improve that code. So to put it in simple terms, think of it like Grammarly, but for code, right? So for this Hacktoberfest, we were thinking what can we do to improve, say, quality of the contributions? How can everyone make sure they make meaningful contribution to open source instead of simple things? And for beginners, getting started with open source is generally hard, and it's sometimes difficult for you to find which repository to contribute to or which issue to pick. So yeah, let me quickly share my screen. And we built this thing called DeepSource Discover. So it's pretty simple. All of you guys can go to it, deepsource.io/discover, where it's a list of projects that are on DeepSource and that are participating in Hacktoberfest. So if you go to say deepsource.io/discover and say you're good at say Python, for example, all right, you just click Python and then it will give you all the repositories that are listed on Discover. Look for this label called Hacktoberfest against all of these repositories. For example, let me go ahead and pick this repo, Graphite Web. So these are all the code quality issues which DeepSource has detected in this specific repository. And if you go to this, for example, I click this issue and all right. I think it's taking a bit to load, but yeah, ideally it looks like this. You click on an issue and then you get to see what that issue is and how to fix it. For example, in this case, it says that it's a Python issue and this is what the issue is, and it's occurring in this specific file. Say if you click this file, it will directly take you to GitHub or GitLab, whatever provider you're using, wherever the repository is hosted. And along with that, on the right, you can see a description of what the issue is. For example, in this case, say you're just a beginner contributor, you want to get started. You go ahead, pick a repo, pick an issue, and then you can read the description to understand what exactly the issue is. Why is it a bad practice? And what is a recommended way of doing it? And once you understand this whole thing, okay, this is what the issue is, you can just go ahead and follow all the steps which was mentioned before to send a pull request to that repository. And this is our goal, to get beginners get started with contributing to open source by making code quality fixes. And all of this, all the code quality issues which we will see on deepsource.io/discover are valid and they do not have any false positives. All right. So this for the beginner or contributor side of things. If you're a maintainer, for you to enroll in DeepSource Discover, you can just go ahead to a repository and go to deepsource.io, sign up and add a DeepSource YAML file. And in this case, I'll pick this repo where all you need to do is add a DeepSource YAML file that says that, hey, I want to activate all of these languages in my repository. And that's about it. By default, you're already enrolled in Discover. And if you're a maintainer, generally the code quality issues are something which you put on the back burner. You might not really have the time to fix it. So you can probably go ahead and activate DeepSource and get the contributors to fix all the code quality issues for you. So yeah, that is more or less about it. I'd probably share a link of these resources in the chat. And yeah, if something, you can just ping any of us on deepsource.io/discord. It's our Discord server. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. We know it's slightly late for you as well, so thank you for staying up and joining us. We're excited to host you. Some of the folks on chat were asking for the links, so feel free to drop those links. And later we'll also have breakout rooms. Jay, I don't know if your time permits, but if you want to hang out and if people have questions, you can also address them in the breakout rooms. But I think the links are also self-sufficient, so thank you. With that, we will bring on our next maintainer, who is Christy from Apprentice.
Hey, Mohan, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Christy.
Okay, great. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. All right, so I hope you can see it now.
Yes, all good.
Okay. So thank you so much. Firstly, Mohan, Saurabh, Cynthia, thank you so much for having us here. And I'd really like to thank DigitalOcean for giving us the opportunity to be present here. Before I get started, I'd also love to thank all those amazing folks who are working behind the scenes to make Hacktoberfest a success. Daniel, Phoebe, Matt, Mason, and a lot of other folks. Thank you so much for your hard work. With that, I would like to get started with what exactly Apprentice is. And it's an interesting story because Apprentice was also started back in 2019 and just launched prior to Hacktoberfest 2019. Back then, Apprentice was just a 100-star GitHub project. And 2 years later, Apprentice has over 12,000 stars on GitHub. And we cannot thank you enough for all the love and support that you've shown us. And we wouldn't be here without you. So who exactly am I? So I'm Christy Jacob, and I'm one of the full stack engineers here at Apprentice. And it's an interesting story for me as well, because just like Aphrodite, I started my journey in open source back in Hacktoberfest 2019. And 2 years later, here I am working as a full stack engineer here. So just like Mohan mentioned, Hacktoberfest does open a lot of job opportunities for you, and it's up to you to make the best out of it. So what exactly does Apprentice do? So when Apprentice is in going by the textbook definition, Apprentice is an open source, secure, end-to-end backend as a server for your mobile, web, and front-end apps, right? So basically, Apprentice abstracts all the complexity behind cloud development to make developers' lives easier and fun by giving the project a better starting point. So when you typically build a project these days of a large scale, you typically end up doing a lot of things which are very repetitive. And there are a lot of technologies and complexities that you need to solve in order to get an app up and running these days and ensure that it is scalable and performant at the same time. So if you need to develop a good app these days, you need to have a good understanding of the authentication algorithms, encryption, security, privacy, scaling, and all that kind of stuff, right? And many times you will end up writing the same code over and over again to get all these basic things done. So developers end up wasting a lot of their time, which they could have otherwise spent innovating and building their app, in actually getting all these architectural stuff up and running. So that's where Apprentice comes in. Apprentice's goal is to make software development a lot less painful. Now, Apprentice comes in with a host of APIs that make it very easy for you to get started with building your apps. Starting with an authentication and user management system, Apprentice provides you over 25 different OAuth providers, allowing you to allow your users to log in with Google, Facebook, or any of your favorite OAuth providers. And funny enough, I think only 3 of them were actually contributed by the maintainers, and more than 20 of them come from the contributors on GitHub. So that's an amazing, web place where you can get started as well. Apprentice also comes with a persistent database, a real-time database that allows you to store all your users' information as well as all your apps data. Apprentice comes with a storage API, which is encrypted and optimized to serve your static files to all your users. Apprentice also comes with cloud functions, which allows you to have any kind of custom logic that you want. And we have over 20 different runtimes allowing you to program in your favorite language. Apprentice also has webhooks, which allows you to connect with third-party providers outside of the Apprentice ecosystem. This essentially means that you can actually respond to any events that occur within Apprentice and communicate them outside of Apprentice, giving you more flexibility if you want to use multiple backends together with Apprentice. Apprentice takes care of built-in security. So starting from user authentication, authorization, rate limiting, abuse control, encryption, Apprentice has got you back. So building an app these days usually involves catering to audiences in different countries. So localization and internationalization becomes a major challenge these days, and Apprentice has a host of APIs to help you with that as well. Again, this is a major service that has been contributed by the community, helping us translate Apprentice into a host of different languages. And this is something that you should look out for this year as well. Aphrodite also has a neat little image manipulation API, allowing you to, do simple things like cropping an image to much more complicated stuff like adding borders and adjusting transparency and a lot of other things that you can do with images. And most importantly, these images are optimized with WebP or your favorite optimization algorithm, and they're served to ensure the best response times. Aphrodite also has an amazing real-time API, and this is not just a real-time database, but a real-time API. This essentially means that you can listen to any event that happens across Aphrodite, not just database changes, but also file uploads and cloud function executions and user signups, user accounts creations, and all those kind of events you can listen to using the Aphrodite's real-time API. So if you look at this image, you can actually see the kind of complexity that Aphrodite abstracts for you behind the hood, under the hood. And it all starts with the API gateway, which is your way of interacting with Aphrodite. The pink circles that you see are the Aphrodite CLI and the Aphrodite console. They come in with the Aphrodite package when you install it. So these are all completely open source. And the other ways are web, mobile, for your backend languages, and basically any language that you can make an HTTP call with, you can interact with the Aphrodite API. If you look at towards the right, you can see all the persistent storage, the memcache stuff like Redis, job queues, persistent databases like MariaDB, time series databases for all your logs and stats, SMTP, antivirus, and SSL. So these are all things which may seem easy. There are a lot of third-party libraries to do it, but getting it all together and getting it to work will definitely take a lot of time. And doing it over and over again for every project of yours just takes up a lot of your valuable time, which you could otherwise spend innovating. So that's where Aphrodite takes care of all of that. So why developers actually use Aphrodite? So one of the main reasons is that Aphrodite is completely open source. So starting with all the major engineering decisions, we take them out in the open. Every major engineering decision starts out with an RFC, and we invite community members to collaborate and help us find out some loopholes which we might otherwise have overlooked. So that's a great way for us to ensure participation from the community. And Aphrodite is truly cross-platform. So when we were building Aphrodite, we realized that the software that is typically at this scale requires a lot of dependencies, and installing the dependencies is a huge pain. If you've installed NVIDIA drivers for having machine learning workflows on your Linux machine, I think you can relate with me. It's a huge pain to get the NVIDIA drivers working. So we understood that dependencies can be a huge hassle. And with Aphrodite, we decided that Docker would be the only dependency that you would ever need. So whether you're running on Linux, Windows, or Mac, or any other system, as long as it can run Linux, Docker, you're good to go. And Aphrodite also ensures Aphrodite can work well offline, which means that it works the same way in your development as well as your production environment. Aphrodite comes with a host of data and privacy control options. The main reason being Aphrodite is self-hosted, and with increasing laws which mandate you to have your data stored in your country, solutions like Aphrodite can be extremely useful, allowing you to self-host it in your location. Aphrodite also follows a language and framework agnostic approach. So the core maintainers who started Aphrodite came from different backgrounds, from JavaScript, Go, Java, C++, and a lot more. So we wanted to ensure that every API or every SDK that we have resonates with all of these different developers and maintainers. And from the get-go, we follow a language agnostic approach, allowing a consistent API and a consistent experience for all the developers out there. I think one of the main things about Aphrodite is the developer experience. We thought in depth about a developer journey, starting from the documentation through the integration between the different SDKs to how predictable and consistent the different APIs are. We even spent hours choosing the naming conventions to make sure the developer experience is as smooth as possible. Aphrodite is also completely modular, which means that we talked about a lot of services back there, and Aphrodite, you can use Aphrodite in any way you can. You can choose to use all of them or some of them, and Aphrodite is actually designed to work well with your existing backend and not really replace it. You could replace it in theory if you require, but Aphrodite can work very well with your existing backend. Aphrodite is secure out of the box, so we talked about a lot of security stuff which comes inbuilt with Aphrodite. Now, if you lose your private keys or lose access to your host machine, that's a totally different issue, and that would be an incident. But for everything else, Aphrodite has got your back. Aphrodite also has a super small footprint and comes with ARM support, which means that you can run Aphrodite even on your Raspberry Pi. We have some awesome community members who've been tinkering with Aphrodite on their home labs in the Raspberry Pi, and we've been hearing some amazing things. So we really invite you to check it out. Okay, so what's next for Aphrodite? Our native iOS SDK is in the works and should be coming anytime soon. We're going to be supporting both relational as well as non-relational databases, starting with MariaDB and MongoDB. So whether you're a relational fan or a non-relational fan, we've got you covered. The cloud functions, which are already amazing, are going to get 10 times faster, which is going to bring us up to the mark with all the state-of-the-art providers out there. Multi-factor authentication is going to introduce OTP-based logins and hardware keys support to our suite of already existing authentication methods. Storage buckets are going to allow you to integrate any kind of third-party object storage like DigitalOcean Spaces, S3, or Backblaze, or your favorite object store. Finally, Aphrodite Cloud. So this is one of the main highlights that we're going to have coming up soon. Aphrodite is right now, Aphrodite is self-hosted, and just in some time, you'll be able to use the cloud version of Aphrodite, and where we'll take care of all the scaling and all that stuff. And there's so much more that we have in store for you. So how would you actually get started with Aphrodite? So I have the slide as backup. So if things go wrong, we're going to come back to this. So I'm just going to start with a quick demo of how you can get started with Aphrodite.
Christy, if you can maybe wrap up in another minute, if that's okay.
Sure. Okay, I'll just finish the demo and then we're done. Okay, so firstly, you'd head over to Aphrodite.io and you can click on the Getting Started button. I'm on Linux, so I'm going to copy this command and you're going to head back to your terminal and paste in that command. In a few seconds, you should have Aphrodite pull all your dependencies and you can configure all your defaults over here. And then Aphrodite should be set up. In a few minutes, you can head over to your local host, which you can also set up your custom domain if that's something you'll be doing. And once the installation is complete, you can head over to localhost and you'll be presented with a sign up screen. So I'm a developer. I like the name test. So I'm going to use test and test@test.com to sign up. We have a very secure password, 123456. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to agree to terms and conditions and sign up for the newsletter. And once your registration is done, you're going to be presented with your project dashboard. You're going to create our first project, which is my first project, and you'll be greeted with this dashboard. So from here, you can add your favorite platforms and then head over to aphrodite.io/docs. And over here, you'll be getting all the instructions for your web, Flutter, and your Android app. So back to the presentation. So that is the getting started section. You can initialize your SDKs. We have a very consistent flow that you can use for initializing. Creating your accounts is simple as well. Uploading files to your storage is simple as well. And this is how you would upload some information to your database. The Aphrodite real-time API allows you to subscribe to any channel that you like, and this is how you can do that as well. You can register a callback, which can react to events that occur on the server side. So this year we have a couple of open issues that you can look at, starting with the most basic ones, which is the open issues. We have a couple of them. You can check it out on hacktoberfest.aphrodite.io. You can also help us with building demo apps, writing blog posts, or even making tutorials. We have some awesome prizes for you contributors. So apart from the prizes that DigitalOcean are already handing over, we have the OG Aphrodite stickers for 1 contribution. If you make 2 contributions, you also get a limited edition Hacktoberfest sticker pack. 3 contributions will get you a mug in addition to everything else. And finally, 4 contributions or more will get you a t-shirt, a limited edition t-shirt in addition to everything else. So with that, we cannot wait to see what you create. And there are tons of open issues. Please join us on our Discord server, and we're always there to help you. So that's aphrodite.io/Discord. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy. I think it's great to hear from, being a participant to going on to becoming a maintainer. And thank you for your support for Hacktoberfest 2021. We're glad to have you as a partner. So thanks again to DeepSource and Aphrodite for becoming our partners for this year's edition. With that, I understand some of our maintainers also have hard stops. So next up is Umashankar from Litmus Chaos.
Right. Thank you, Mohan. Hope you can see my screen, the right one.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Mohan, for inviting us here, and happy to be participating in full swing in this year's Hacktoberfest as well. So I'm representing Litmus open source project, and I'll go through a little bit about what is Litmus and how you can contribute and why you should contribute, all that stuff. So we've been having a real fun and some very useful outcomes in Hacktoberfest, apart from enjoying ourselves, helping many people get started on open source. We've been receiving some good contributions as well through Hacktoberfest. And looks like, India's open source dynamism is growing faster and faster every year. And Hacktoberfest is one of the good places to go and introduce some small changes if you're starting on open source. So Litmus, what we do every year is we spend some time to help you start your first PRs, right? This is like 4th year for us as a project, but we still have the same mindset as the first year, where you have a lot of new things to do. So we keep creating good first issues so that people can come, find things easy, and get started. So about us, we are chaos engineering guys, and we try to make chaos engineering easy for cloud native and cloud native DevOps. I'm Umashankar, co-founder, CEO of Chaos Native, also co-creator of Litmus. Karthik is also going to be participating full-time in this month's Hacktoberfest. He's another core maintainer, CTO of Litmus. And Prithvi, who's here, will be driving Hacktoberfest on the field, trying to help you get through the issues, get the help you need, and also try to get some complex things done, not just get good first issues. So about Litmus, it's been the 4th year in existence, and we're doing great as a community, and lots of adoption in production by many big DevOps teams. And we started in Hacktoberfest about 3 years ago with 1 or 2 chaos experiments. Now we have 50+ chaos experiments, 100+ contributors. And we are currently in CNCF sandbox. We're moving to incubation in the next few months. And as you can see that there are about 1,000 Litmus installations in a day on a daily basis. So there's a lot of good activity. You can really use it to improve your cloud native reliability. Right? That's chaos engineering. So why do you need to care about chaos engineering is the app that you now write is mostly microservices based, and there is limited visibility on where it is going to be running, right? Most likely you will have dependencies on tens and hundreds of microservices underneath. Any fault anywhere can affect the service that your app is providing, right? So there's a lot of dependencies that you will encounter. So it's better you test against faults of all those dependencies, right? So then only your service can be reliable. So that's the basic idea of chaos engineering. So chaos engineering also can be told as continuously validate your service level objectives in production by introducing faults. And we try to do it in a Kubernetes native way, right? We have chaos operators, we have custom resources that will help you define and manage your chaos experiments in a Kubernetes native way. It's just like any other simple applications on Kubernetes. You try to manage Litmus. So it's pretty easy to develop, understand, and manage, right? So what we recommend contributors is try to contribute some Litmus experiments in your own expertise. You may be a database expert, or you may be application expert in any other area. So you may be knowing a way to introduce a fault in that. So how to introduce that fault and use Litmus probe on how to validate that steady state hypothesis when that fault happens, right? And then you can use that. We have a lot of such experiments, and you can use that experiments to build a chaos scenario later on, right? So the idea here is you would need to be looking at, I want to get started on open source. Litmus is a very vibrant community project. And is there any chaos experiment that I can look for, right? Getting started is very easy. I'll cover it in a minute. But Litmus in general can be used by the entire DevOps team. And it doesn't matter either a developer, QA, or SRE. And you can write and use chaos experiments against various targets such as Kubernetes, cloud platforms, non-Kubernetes, VMware, bare metal, all that stuff, right? So when it comes to Hacktoberfest, we are just getting started. We got a bunch of issues that are marked with Hacktoberfest already. Go to this URL and you will find some 20-25 of them. As we see more people coming in, depending on the need, we will keep creating more good first issues or help create more need for experiments. Right. So the best way to start with is come and join us on our Slack, on Kubernetes Slack space, and you will find a bunch of people trying to hack on Litmus around Hacktoberfest issues. So just join them, pick your stuff, team up, and then start doing. And we are there to help. As we said, we will invest some time this month just to help with people, right? So there are a lot of good first issues, but I'm more excited about helping some of you go beyond simple PRs, right? So Litmus is very unique in that open source. You can do an end-to-end feature by writing a chaos experiment. You can call it as a feature. You can say that this experiment I've contributed to Chaos Hub and all that stuff. So not for the first good issues, PRs, but we definitely appreciate you contributing a little bit more to our project. And we generally give out a lot of goodies, watches, AirPods, T-shirts, so on and so forth. So we do celebrate this month and looking forward to that. So one other thing, this Hacktoberfest that is advantageous for open source developers is you don't need to really set up entire Litmus, right? If you want to contribute to an experiment, Litmus is already there on the cloud for us. We just launched, so litmuschaos.cloud. You can go sign up. You got a Litmus control plane. Then you just need to have your dev environment, Minikube, or go to DigitalOcean. I'm sure you'll have certain credits or access to DigitalOcean Kubernetes service. So you just deploy your experiment there, connect to Litmus Cloud, and test it. So it's fairly easy. And you can start with this, and we are always there to help. So with that, I'm really, really excited to be here, looking forward. Prithvi is on the community, and looking forward to working with you all, helping you get started on Hacktoberfest. Again, Mohan, it's a pleasure always being associated with you, and thank you so much for inviting us.
Likewise, Saman. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts and your participation. I think some of your team members might stay on for the breakout rooms if people have any additional questions. So thank you. All right. Next up, we have one of our partners who are also doing a lot of work in the open source space. One of the questions that came up on chat earlier was that how do these companies building on open source make money or even have the money, right? I think our next speaker could probably address that. We have Devdutt Shenoy from ForceHack.
Hey everyone, I'm Devdutt Shenoy and Force United. So today I'm here to present about Force United, the organization, as well as ForceHack, which is our hackathon that's going to be running through 13th and 14th of November. Okay, so let me start with the presentation. Yeah, so Force United, it's a volunteer organization. We have both community of passionate hackers and industrial veterans. And we are a diverse group of people. We have multiple
Devdutt, your video seems to be frozen for us.
Present about all the activities that we have at Force United. You can check us out on forceunited.org. That's our website. And so the meat of the matter is we are going to be hosting this hackathon from 13th and 14th of November. So you can find more details about it at the link that is shown below. Other than that, we also have grants for projects that are open source in nature and are building community goods. So you can check out more details at the link that is provided here. Moving forward, we also have multiple projects under the umbrella of the organization, including one which is for teaching programming to beginners. So Anand, community member and a great friend for anyone who is starting to get into the programming world, can help you with his project here, which is Mon.School. Awesome place to learn, and we have had some great programs like Codapukalam run there. Moving forward, we, that is myself, have been presenting open source contributors to large projects like Kubernetes, Fedora, etc. On our platform known as First Commit. So you can find out more details about that at the link below. It's a great platform if you're new and only getting started with contributing to large projects. So if you want to talk about that, I'm always available. You can find us on Telegram. And yeah, about that, we also organize multiple different hackathons and conferences. One of them is India OS. You can find more details about that as well. I won't be doing a lot of introductions here. It's just basically sharing links. And as an ending to this presentation, it's quite short. I myself am not very confident about presenting, so sorry for that. But here we have links to our forum, which is Discourse. And then we also have the Telegram channel, where you can come and converse with the multiple talented kind of people that I just mentioned earlier. So thank you for letting us present here. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Devdutt. You did great. And again, I think look up some of those links that Devdutt mentioned. FOSS United is doing a great job in terms of providing grants for a lot of open source projects, right? Devdutt, if you could stop sharing. Our next speaker is Kiran from OpenEBS. Kiran, over to you.
Thank you, Mohan. I'm just about to share my screen here. So I'm just trying to share the entire desktop for a minute. Thanks again, Mohan and DigitalOcean, for giving the opportunity. This is our 4th year participating in the event. Really excited about it. I just wanted to throw this report up. This is actually CNCF statistics on how many people contribute to OpenEBS. It's called Dev Stats, and OpenEBS is one of the CNCF projects, so they maintain it. So there are more than like 400 contributors that are listed here, and I can confidently say that, like, 300 and plus contributors actually came through Hacktoberfest to OpenEBS. And just to kind of reiterate what Mohan was saying earlier, we did hire people through Hacktoberfest who contributed to the project, and they are actually employees of My Data right now, and they've gone on to become like maintainers of the project. They've, they're also the GSOC mentors at this point. So not so much in terms of like, how to contribute. I think like this year's documentation on Hacktoberfest is pretty awesome in terms of like do's and don'ts. We have been seeing a decline in terms of like the good PRs that are coming. But I hope like the rules that are put there will really help us this time. So this is like a quick coordinates for OpenEBS. Just go to github.com OpenEBS. There are several projects with with several languages also. Just pick up your language, and we have tagged Hacktoberfest to multiple repos. There are around 29 repositories that you can check out, and each of the repositories also have like pretty good issues created to get started. So we are really looking for like some quality PRs this time, and there's a team that's on standby to help you through the process. We are also on the Kubernetes Slack channel. OpenEBS Dev is where you join. And I just wanted to show, like, it's been 3 days, and some pretty good PRs have already come. So these are like some examples of some great PRs, right? So pick up like a documentation, and it could, it's a 4-year-old project now, and things change pretty quickly. So if you find like some things needs update, for example, in this case, like, checking out what are the new commands or like the new options for running a certain application on OpenABS, that's a great way to fix or like contribute to the project. The other one is actually code, like, you don't have to like always like support with a new feature. Just look at like a lot of refactoring work that we push it out. This is also great because there are already automation and integration tests enabled on the project. So if, as you go along and start making the changes, you can check whether you're doing it right or not. And we definitely take those PRs in. Last but not the least, we don't want like spam PRs, but there are like some good PRs as well, which are about fixing a dead links, right? Those are like still good PRs. Sites change and like, links don't work, fixing them is great. But so the PRs that we consider spam or like, we just got a PR, which was like adding a tic-tac-toe game to the repository. Please don't do that. It kind of reduces the more maintainers participating in the program. Let's keep this healthy and like a learning process for everyone. And if you go to the OpenABS community website or like the community page, you have a lot of other coordinates. You can reach us in the Slack, in these mailing lists, even like, join some of our community weekly meetings where we can help you with the process of contributing. Right, with that, I hand it back to you, Mohan. Thanks for giving me the opportunity today.
Thank you, Kiran. Always a pleasure having you. And Kiran is really very active in the open source community in terms of contribution and events. So it's always a pleasure to host you. And thanks for all the work you do, Kiran.
Thank you, Mohan.
With that, our next speaker is Navneet from Tooljet. Navneet.
Hey, Mohan. Thank you. Let me share my screen. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
First of all, thanks to Mohan and Cynthia for having us pitching here. And yeah. So regarding myself, my name is Navneet and I'm one of the maintainers of Tooljet. Tooljet is a no-code, low-code platform for building and deploying internal tools. So Tooljet can connect to multiple data sources like MongoDB, MySQL, Google Sheets, Airtable, etc. And the data from these data sources can be used for building internal tools. So we have a simple drag and drop interface where you can drag and drop components like charts, tables, forms, etc. And then you can connect it to your existing databases and other API-based data sources to build internal tools. So this is how the product looks like, and it's super easy even for non-technical people to build applications. The Tooljet story. So we started in April this year, and the first commit was made exactly on April 1st, and the repository was made public on GitHub on June 7th. Within 8 hours of launch, we were able to get more than 1,000 stars on the GitHub repository. And as of now, we have more than 40 contributors and 3,500 stars on GitHub. Our technical stack. So we have two components. One is Tooljet server and the other one is Tooljet client. We are using Nest.js with TypeORM for Tooljet server, and the Tooljet client is built using React. And regarding the deployment, we provide a lot of options for the users to deploy Tooljet. So the users can deploy Tooljet using Heroku, Kubernetes, Docker, or even using the Amazon AMIs. How to contribute to Tooljet? So if you wish to contribute to Tooljet by contributing new features or bug fixes, you can look for issues that are tagged with the Hacktoberfest label. And once you comment on the issue, someone from the team will be assigning all those issues to you. And if you wish to improve the documentation, or if you want to add something to the documentation, you can just create an issue on GitHub with the proposed changes. And if you don't have time, or if you don't wish to contribute to the code base, you can still contribute by creating bug reports and feature requests. Also, if you can contribute to the tutorials and guides, it will be helpful for a lot more people to start using Tooljet. And yep, there was a short demo and pitch. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us on GitHub or Slack. I'll drop all these links on chat. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Navneet. All right, we have two more maintainers who will speak about their projects very quickly, and then do stay on. We will do a very short quiz before getting into the breakout rooms, right? Our next speaker is Prana from Chatwood.
Hey everyone, thanks Mohan, thanks India for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me share my screen. Hope you can see this.
Yes.
All right. My name is Pranav. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chatwood. So a bit about my journey so far as a maintainer. So this is like my 5th time on participating in Hacktoberfest. I think I started in 2016 as a contributor. Then from there, it's for the next 3 years, I've been a contributor, and afterwards I started Chatwood, and that's where I started participating as a maintainer. So most people have a question, I was looking at the chat, and most people have this question, how do I contribute? I'm the first time, this is my first time here. So I'd like to talk about my first contribution. It was not a code contribution, but it was mostly a doc contribution. So I just added a separate case where documentation for a different case. And it's quite happy to see that that contribution which I made around 7 years back is still on their website and it's still active. You can think of contributions in different ways. You can contribute in code if you're good with the code base. If you can contribute with use cases like this, that'll be good. And if you want to
very quickly, just wanted to check, are you sharing your screen? Because we're not seeing anything.
Oh, all right.
We were earlier able to see it, but I think we lost access.
Yeah, I think I'll stop full screen.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, now we are able to see it.
This is my first contribution which I was talking about. So I just added a case where to upload to a custom folder, which is a very specific case and which is not documented. So you can add value to a project in different ways. It doesn't have to be a code. It can be a document update. It can be Kiran was saying, you can actually update the links. So anything that add values to a project is a meaningful contribution, and people would appreciate that. So try to find how you can add value to the project. So about Chatwood, so we are an open source customer engagement suite as an alternative to Intercom, Zendesk, and Salesforce Service Cloud. To put it simply, we help businesses to engage their customers through different channels. Let's say, for example, every company has an email support channel. They have a website. They have a Twitter page. They have a Facebook page. We help companies to see all the conversations that are happening from different channels together in one place. I've put my links over here. You can take a look at our website as well as our GitHub repository. So a little bit about our story. We started in 2016. We were building a proprietary software. It didn't succeed as business. We shut it down in 2017. And so there was a shift from proprietary softwares to open source software in 2018, 2019 due to data privacy regulations like GDPR or CPRA. So we thought why don't we actually open source it and see how it goes. So we open sourced the code base in September 2019. We were fortunate to get our first 25 contributors from Hacktoberfest 2019. We got featured in Hacker News, and that was when we started being more active, being serious about this. So over a year, we pushed a lot of updates, and during December 2020, we applied to Y Combinator last batch, and afterwards we could raise a seed round of funding. Right now, Chatwood supports 25 different languages from different countries. We have 130 contributors who have been contributing on different repositories which we have. So here is our tech stack. We are primarily on Rails. Front end is built on Vue.js. Our database is Postgres. We use Redis as a caching layer. I mean, like we use Docker for deployments, and obviously we use React Native for our mobile apps. So how can you contribute? There are like 4 different ways you can contribute. The first thing is code contributions. You can look at our repositories. Like there are like 10 or 15 like active repositories. You can look at Hacktoberfest label. If you're willing to pick it up, just comment on the ticket that you want to pick it up, and one of the team members would be assigned to you. So this is important because, like, we don't want like 2 people working on the same thing without knowing each other. Then if you don't find anything which is suited to your knowledge, then you can actually see if you can add test cases on RSpec, Jest, or Cypress, which are framework you're comfortable with. Then comes with documentation. So if you're not comfortable with code contributions, you can look at our documentation. If you find something you can add it on our docs repository. And the third way of contributing is by adding languages. So we support 25 different languages right now. We expect this to grow to 30 plus languages by end of the year. So if you have your own native language which you want to add to Chatwood, then you could either add it on translate.chatwood.com or our GitHub repository for contributing. Then if you don't fall into any of these categories, you can definitely use a product, report the bugs, and even create a ticket on GitHub. And that's one way of contributing to the project. And yeah, I mean, you can connect us on GitHub or on Discord. I'll put all these links on the chat as well. Yeah, I mean, feel free to ask any questions, reach out to us if you need anything. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Pranav. And now our final maintainer who will be talking about their project today. We have Lias from Hopscotch.
Hi, Mohan. Thanks for the intro. I hope my screen is visible, right?
We're able to hear you and see us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lias. One among the core contributors of Hopscotch open source project. And, it's almost been 5 years since I started contributing to open source projects in general. And for the past 3+ years, I've been a regular participant of Hacktoberfest as well. So, so what is Hopscotch? Hopscotch is actually an API testing, API development platform. It's actually an open source alternative of a popular API testing tool called Postman. And we actually started the project in 2019 August, so it's almost been 2 years since the initial commit. And in the past 2 years, we had more than over 140 plus contributors, somewhere around 500,000 users. And in our GitHub repository, we had 31,000 plus GitHub stars. And again, 500,000 plus Docker pulls on our official Docker release. So I really want to show a quick demo of our application. So if you can navigate to hopscotch.io, this is the application user interface, and the minimal usage should contain giving a endpoint. So I'm just sticking with the placeholder endpoint. It exactly works, but users can give their own endpoint, select the HTTP method, and just click send to hit that endpoint and get its response. So this is actually the most basic usage of our API testing tool. But again, you can track your history on the sidebar. You can store requests to collections. We support infinite number of collections, and again, we have support for environment, so that engineers can have different environments like production, testing, and a lot of other environments to support within the application. But again, so this page, the home page, is actually for testing RESTful APIs, but we do support a lot of other protocols such as GraphQL, some real-time APIs such as WebSocket, Service Endurance, Socket.io endpoints, and we do have some features which allows you to generate documentation from your API and all. So that's basically, and we do have a lot of other features as well, but do check it out and let us know. So let me just back to the presentation. So yeah, that's about the demo. And I really want to introduce to the tech stack of Hopscotch. We have Vue.js and Next.js on the front end part. We use Tailwind and a CS language for stylings and components. And on the back end, the backend is written in Next.js framework. We use TypeScript for writing the backend, and we have some modules in Firebase, and our APIs are in GraphQL. So if any of these stacks excites you, we would like to invite to contribute to Hopscotch in this Hacktoberfest. And okay, so how you can make the contribution to Hopscotch in Hacktoberfest? Well, do check out our issues sections in our GitHub repository. There are somewhere around 30 plus issues open, out of which most of them are new feature requests. So you guys can work on a feature if it excites you. And obviously there are some bugs, some still non-bugs. So if you are kind of person who would like to test it out and give a patch or a fix, you are again free to do that. And again, we have a very alpha stage of documentation hosted on docs.hopscotch.io. So if you would like to write documentation for that, or if some pages doesn't seem up to it, you can contribute to our documentations as well. And again, we have a very resilient testing suite. So if you would like to write tests for our 150 plus components, out of which some doesn't have tests, you are again free to do that. And if you totally want to approach Hacktoberfest without writing code, again, we have support for more than 20 plus languages. So, and if your favorite language is not on the list, you can try contributing to the translations of the application. And again, these are some of the ways, but do check out our organization in GitHub, which is github.com/hopscotch, HOPPSCOTCH. And you can see a pinned discussion thread, which has a lot more options on how you can contribute to Hopscotch in Hacktoberfest. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, do check out the Hopscotch project and let me know the feedback in the comments. I will be sharing the essential links in the chat as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lias. Appreciate it. All right. I want to thank all our maintainers who came and spoke today, and thanks for all the work you do for open source and also really participating in Hacktoberfest 2021. Hopefully, some of you who are attending are excited about some of the projects and can interact with some of our maintainers once we get into breakout rooms. But before that, if you're all ready, let's go ahead and play a very quick Hacktoberfest quiz. So I'm going to send a link here. So if you can go to www.kahoot.it and use the pin that I've provided there, we will go ahead and play the game. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, I see Kali, who has joined already. So hopefully, as you're all joining, you can see my screen, and we are going to give all of you another 30 seconds to join before getting started with the quiz. Very cool names. Pandafy, Zilch, Kerry, Carly. Wow. Awesome. Another 10 seconds before we get started, and we'll let people continue to come in. We have about 50 people, while we have close to 140 of you. So if you're interested in participating in the quiz, now's your time. Just go to www.kahoot.it and use the pin that's mentioned on this screen. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the quiz. Okay, so this is going to be just true or false questions, and you need to act very quickly. It's not just about the correct answer, but also the time you take. and we will have a leaderboard. So the first question is, the first Hacktoberfest was in 2013, true or false? Okay, people are answering. You can see the number of people answering. You have another less than 10 seconds to go. All right, so this is false. The first one was in 2014. About 40 of you have said true, but about 31 of you said false, and that is correct. Are you ready for the next question? Okay, our leaderboard. Shivu is right at the top, followed by Peter and +1. This can change very quickly, so keep at it. And again, you need to get the right answer, but also time matters, so go for it. Our next question. The first year of Hacktoberfest, 50 commits were required to get a limited edition t-shirt. True or false? Was it 50 commits in the first year? Some of this information was shared in the initial bit. The answer is true. We required 50 commits in the first year to win the limited edition t-shirt. And about 49 of you got that right. And our leaderboard, Peter, is now at #1 spot. And the next question. During the first year of Hacktoberfest, 505 people earned a shirt. Is that right? True or false? Get those answers in very quickly. Okay, the answer is true, and about 52 of you got that. Let's look at the leaderboard. We have Shivu back at #1 position. Awesome. Krutarth, you're really coming up very quickly. So let's see if you can make it to the leaderboard. For 2021 Hacktoberfest, a valid pull request is any PR that has been merged by a project maintainer. Is that correct? A valid pull request is any PR that has been merged by a project maintainer. Is that true or false? If you recall, we spoke about spam, so keep that in mind. The correct answer is false. It's not any PR that can be merged. It has to be approved by the maintainer, right? So about 35 of you got that right. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. We have Dave PJ, who's at the #1 spot, and G or GI, you're up 19 points, so that's good. Keep going. Our next true or false question. In 2021, a PR labeled with Hacktoberfest accepted on a repo without the Hacktoberfest label will count toward your goal. Is that true or false? All right, the correct answer is true. And about 43 of you got that right. Let's go and take a look at the leaderboard. We have a new entry. It's Supul, who is at the top of the leaderboard, followed by BVK007 and Patrick. And Miktoki, you're working yourself up. So let's see if you make it to the leaderboard. Our next true or false question. In 2021, if you complete 4 valid pull requests, you can get a t-shirt and stickers and have a tree planted in your name. Is that true or false? These are very subtle questions, so pay particular attention to the wording. All right, less than 5 seconds to go. The correct answer is false. You have an option to either get a t-shirt and sticker or have a tree planted in your name. So that's the right answer, and about 55 of you got it right. So you were actually listening to the initial bit of this talk. So well done. Our leaderboard, Supul is maintaining the leading position. Very well done. Riddhi is climbing up. Very well done, Riddhi. And our next question, we just have last 3 questions to go. During 2020's Hacktoberfest, as of this moment, 3% of participants have opted in for the pick trees, not teas option. Is that true or false? All right, the correct answer is true. About 3% of participants have opted in for the pick trees, not trees option so far. About 50 of you got that right. That's great. And the leader position, Supol is right at the top, and Shivu is making a comeback with 3 in a row. That's awesome. Shivu, go for it. The last couple of questions here. In 2021, maintainers can mark spam PRs with the label invalid or spam. Is that true or false? All right, that is true. About 63 of you got that right. Very few got that wrong. So that's good to hear. The last couple of questions here, and the leaderboard, Supul is right at the top. Alex is back in the game, 3 in a row. Very well done. The next question, the last 2 questions here. Only DigitalOcean employees can facilitate Hacktoberfest events. Is that true or false? All right, the answer to that is false. So anybody can host a DigitalOcean Hacktoberfest event. You don't have to be a DO employee. You can look up the events event kit on our website and go ahead and organize. A lot of you got this right. So the last question, and before that, let's take a look at the leaderboard. We have a new leader, BVK007, right at the top. And many of you are climbing up. So let's see the last and final deciding question here coming up. For 2021 Hacktoberfest, pull requests on repos and Bitbucket will count. Is that true or false? Right, that is false. So Bitbucket is not counted this time. It's only GitHub and GitLab. Are you all ready to take a look at the final leaderboard? We will have 3 winners, and my colleague Cynthia will post the instructions for the winners on the chat window. So if you're among the top 3 or top 5 winners, please take a screenshot and send us an email. She will post the email in the chat window, and we will send you your goodies. Right. So here's a look at the leaderboard. That's the podium. Drum roll. Dave PJ, you're number 3. Tiger, you're number 2. And number 1 is BVK007. Congratulations to all 3 of you. And the runners-up are Shivu and Pep. Congratulations to you as well. Please take a screenshot and send us an email, and we will send you your goodies. Right. All right. That was very well played. Awesome. I think there are some stats. We don't need to go into it. So I'm going to very quickly stop sharing my screen. Hope that was fun. Hope all of you enjoyed that. Let us know what you thought about that on, it was indeed fastest finger first, right? So let us know what you thought about that game. And with that, we will now very quickly get into the breakout rooms for the next 10 minutes so that maintainers, if you have any specific questions to the maintainers, you can chat with them. And then we will close out the event. Before that, I want to very quickly share the last couple of slides here. Just give me a minute. All right. So last couple of things before we get started, you can please ensure you've signed up to Hacktoberfest. You go through the resources page. A lot of you still have questions, especially if you're beginners. Please review the code of conduct. Join the Discord channel. Our team is available on Discord the whole month. So if you have any questions, want to talk to anybody, want to help discover new projects that you can contribute to, you can do that on Discord. And also there is a Discord discover projects on GitHub and GitLab. All these projects are also listed on our website, so to make it easier to find for you to find them. Right. I also spoke about this little giveaway that we're doing. It's a zine that we're giving out. I posted the instruction on the chat window. If some of you want that, you can just need to fill out do.co/zine, Z-I-N-E, and you might receive a limited edition copy of that. And with that, happy hacking and congratulations on your first pull request. If some of you mentioned that your PRs got accepted, your project has been accepted. So that's amazing. Congratulations and good luck on hacking. This is it. I think that's what we had put together in terms of a high-level overview about Hacktoberfest, the history of Hacktoberfest. We also heard from some of our maintainers and the cool projects that they're hosting as part of Hacktoberfest 2021. Hope this has been useful and hope you have all the resources that you needed and you need to participate in this entire month-long initiative called Hacktoberfest. Patrick, I see your that's great that you spoke about Joomla. That's fantastic. All right, cool. So I'm going to post a couple of links here. Again, I think if any of you have questions about Hacktoberfest, there is an FAQ section. That's the link there. All Hacktoberfest related resources can be found on that other link that I posted. You can also donate directly to open source projects. And also there is a Hacktoberfest Discord channel where our team members are available if you have any questions and if you need any other support, right? I want to especially call out all the maintainers who took the time to come and speak today. And I also want to do a quick shout out to my amazing colleagues, Cynthia and Saurabh, for running this event, for putting this together, for all of us to come together here and participate. Right, a big shout out to also our amazing colleagues who have put together this Hacktoberfest initiative this year. Everyone from Daniel, Mason, Phoebe, as well as Chris, and a lot more people are involved. As you know, Hacktoberfest is a huge initiative and lots of people are involved in making this happen. So big shout out to all of them. Thank you. And big shout out again to all our partners and sponsors as well.
Thank you so much, Mohan. Thank you for hosting this for us, and thanks to the team. We'll be posting out the picture that we took today on LinkedIn and Twitter on DO channels. Feel free to follow us and like it and share it.
Right. Thanks, everyone. You take care and happy hacking.